down Panetta's Afghan comments when he said that they'll be pulled out by mid-2013. They always say they're going to be pulled out in a year and a half, 2 years. That's standard stalling. They want that $500 billion in opium money. Continuing, is Israel preparing to attack Iran? Washington Post. And now Defense Secretary Leon Panetta has a lot on his mind these days, from cutting the defense budget to managing the drawdown of U.S. forces in Afghanistan. But his biggest worry is the growing possibility of an Israeli attack on Iran. And then it goes on to say Panetta believes the likelihood is strong that Israel will attack Iran in April, May, or June. And now they're saying that Iran may attack the United States and Israel first. And they could attack on their own, or something could be staged and blamed on them. And I read to you the Brookings Institute and others putting out big white papers saying it'd be great to have a provocation. And we know Gulf of Tonkin was staged, a lot of other events were staged, and we know that big CFR member Gary Hart wrote a letter to Ahmadinejad 5 years ago saying, we will stage terror attacks and blame them on you, so you better do what you're told. Just type in Gary Hart letter to Ahmadinejad, and in fact, type that in, folks. It's Huffington Post is where he publicly published it. Open letter to him. So that's how dumb they think we are. Russia threatens to veto UN Syria draft. They're talking about actually having peacekeeping forces invade, kind of like they did in Libya to back up al-Qaeda taking over the country. I'm not a fan of Assad, but you're going to replace him with al-Qaeda? Oh, boy, I tell you. They just think we're idiots. I mean, they can't even get their script right. We've got to give our rights up because of al-Qaeda, but then al-Qaeda works for the globalist. Kurt Nimmo's got an article on Infowars.com. Iran defiant, threatens retaliation over oil sanctions, and says they were going to shut down the Strait of Hormuz. The sanctions on the contracts are going to start hitting in the next 2 months, because contracts are always about 3-4 months out, and of course they hit a month ago. Here's another headline. U.S. uses depleted uranium, makes graveyards in Afghanistan. Just incredible birth defects and problems going on there, according to medical reports coming out. Our own troops are coming back and having off-the-charts deformities and cancers. But the government hates your guts, so what do you expect? We're all just trash to the New World Order. Here's another article by Paul Joseph Watson, and it links to Stratfor and other intelligence groups. U.S. warns Iran not to fight back against Israeli attack. Can you imagine how outrageous it would be if Iran fought back? That's terrorism. In fact, that's what cops now say. If they punch you in the nose, don't even raise your arm, or it's assault. Goes on, a U.S. warship remains in Strait of Hormuz amidst simmering tensions. And they've told Iran through diplomatic channels, you will take these strikes or we will nuke you if you fight back. We'll be right back. What frustrates me so bad, again, about the TSA is it's an admitted federal takeover, violates 9th and 10th Amendment states' rights, 4th Amendment against unreasonable search and seizure, where a person's papers and effects are absolutely barred from being touched on. Doesn't matter. They're just criminally involved in a total revolution against the spirit of America, against basic freedom, against the Magna Carta, against everything dear, and they know what they're doing. And federally funded checkpoints all over the country, federally funded blood draws without proper warrants, then it's just rubber stamps, and now TSA checkpoints on highways everywhere. TSA has said on C-SPAN you're going to have to go through them to get a job anywhere, to have a driver's license, to be hired as a police officer. They are the federal goon force. And tyrannies under Stalin and Hitler and under Mao always use kind of a minimum wage thug potbelly force. Because in every society, old guard governments that were even oligarchical were afraid of big, powerful, out-of-control internal militaries. So they always created a esprit de corps and system, even in ancient Rome, where the military wasn't allowed to be involved domestically because the ruling elite knew they'd be overthrown by it. And so they teach checks and balances to the Praetorian class, and that you don't violate these rights, you don't do this, you don't fight your own people. So they can't get rid quick enough of all those checks and balances in police and military, though they have to a great extent. But if they create a whole new force, hire people that are control freaks, that low IQs, and tell them they're God, well, they'll do it. Hitler and Stalin and Mao opened up the prisons. hired thugs, street thugs, pedos, and it's the same thing today. Who else do you think likes to grab you and your wife's genitals?
Double drudge.
Oh, we have a double drudge now? Let me see that. This is fun. Because it's fun to be exposing the TSA and have the mega massive big sis taps hot dog sellers to hunt terrorists at Super Bowl. And then under it, red link, let's click on that. And again, this is the biggest link you can get on the internet. It's like the Super Bowl of internet. UN wants world tax to help the poor. Another Paul Joseph Watson article. I think Drudge likes Paul Watson. Paul Watson is a great writer. I like him too. Okay, and it's just, again, it's like, boom, three-pointer, boom, three-pointer. Battling the New World Order doesn't get any better than this. Because the truth is, we are the new media. We are the real media. We're not going away. Now, it's a swarm of people here today because they're having a longevity conference here in town for the InfoWarsTeam.com crew. And this is about a revolution in liberty, about getting our health back, not letting them ban our supplements. I got into longevity about a little over a year ago, did a little bit of it, got some response, but wasn't committed. So I didn't promote it a lot. Knew it was good, but whatever. Then Aaron Dykes went on it, and in 6 months lost 65 pounds. My mother had incredible results, so she can exercise a lot more, lost a lot of weight. She says, I'll endorse it, and my mother's, doesn't want to go on air, but said she would endorse it. I haven't gotten around to getting her to do that yet. But the point is that, wow, I better really follow this, because I know it's real. That's why I was promoting it, but I wasn't following it. 2 months, 37 pounds lost. And I'm going to recap all this. It's not even about weight loss. Now, pharmacist Ben Fuchs, mainline pharmacist, understands the biology. He's going to be in here talking about this. But with him, they're all just hanging out in the studio. I said, why not have Dr. Corey Gold? He's a dentist. He's an inventor of a whole bunch of great supplements like Pollen Burst and others. And a lot of the other stuff that's in the longevity line. Longevity has bought up a lot of these great companies. He really understands this as well. And MZ, who got me involved in all this, he's here. But Ted Anderson wants to come in. And boy, if you see old videos of Ted Anderson, he was never in bad shape, but he had knee problems. He's lost 35 pounds. He was correcting me. It's not 30, it's 35. And his cholesterol went from 300 to 160 on longevity. He's going to show you those medical reports. It was his idea. He's going to show them to you here in a minute. Stay with us. Now, coming up in the third hour today, I'm going to get into lawsuit filed against government over assassination of U.S. citizens. ACLU demands information regarding a CIA kill list and drone strikes on Americans. Also, Climate Depot, read all about it. Al Gore's melting Antarctic claims refuted by reality. Climate Depot's A to Z. All these top scientists are coming out and saying the Earth's now starting to cool and that we actually want heating and that carbon dioxide is what we need on this Earth and it's not evil. So they have all this fake environmentalism to cover up the real problems that they're causing. Here's another one. Thousands wrongly labeled as criminals. This is out of the London Telegraph. More than 20,000 people end up getting picked up or arrested because of computer mistakes. I saw the same thing in the LA Times a month ago where it was tens of thousands in California. And sometimes, one of the cases, it said it took the guy almost 2 months to get out of jail. And because they had the name wrong. And he's like, I have no criminal record. Here's my license. And they're like, well, your license is now under this criminal's record. Very scary. So that's just some of the news we're going to get to on that front. Also, new report shows illegal aliens are leaving Arizona. Yeah, because the economy's falling apart. Also, tritium leaking in 48 of 65 nuclear reactors across America, reports U.S. NRC. That's the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. Now, this is a question I keep asking. Why suddenly in Illinois, Nebraska, California, New York, 2 places in Canada, all over Europe, I showed you the articles yesterday, radiation levels just skyrocketing. Not just from Fukushima. Reactors suddenly, they're belching radiation. They're having power outages. What is going on? Now, I heard about, and I'm going to cover this in the third hour, some with Bob Chapman. I heard about this for years, thought that's ridiculous. But the scientists were saying that some would go into a cycle and that these space particles, different types of them, can actually cause problems, not just in the power generators, but in the nuclear reaction somehow. Since then, I've done some research on it. And it turns out that that may be one of the reasons that suddenly you're seeing all these problems. And there's a big article from When Technology Fails by Matthew Stein. I want to get him on. And it says 400 Chernobyls, solar flares, EMP, and nuclear Armageddon. And it goes through reactors where they admit have already had blow-ups and problems. And all the scientific papers, London Guardian, this is just, I've got to do a whole hour on this sometime, how this is already going on. This is already going on. And here's another one. Concerns grow over volcanic eruptions. USA Today. See, they used to think volcanoes blew up every million years or something, but look at all the civilizations that got destroyed by them. They used to think big, giant meteorites hit every million years. Now they're saying it's every 10,000 or so. You know, so a big article in USA Today about that. I'll cover some of that in the third hour. You don't want to miss that. More on Panetta saying Israel is going to strike Iran and all the fireworks that are going to come out of that. I mean, talk about a roll of the dice. Regardless of which side you're on or if you're just anti-war and don't want to see this happen. Pakistan's got 100 nukes. That could flip them over. I mean, this is cuckoo. Any way you slice it, we've got all of that. But I'm also about solutions here. And there's a lot of solutions. People are waking up. Over 90% of Americans hate the TSA and believe it's unconstitutional. In major polls I saw just last week, alternative media is the new mainstream media. So the mainstream media is teaming up, the old mainstream media, with the government openly calling for censorship. That's only waking people up faster. The government's passing laws saying we'll secretly arrest you. That's waking people up even faster. But for the next hour and a little bit into the next, we're going to be joined by Ben Fuchs, Dr. Corey Gold's coming in later, Ted Anderson, and MZ, if we can drag him in here. Because I was doing a lot of research, and I knew that our soils were depleted. And I knew that that's why people were obese, because they had to eat all these calories, even if it was supposedly healthy vegetables, just to get the trace elements and minerals, because most of the fields are not just devoid of the proper minerals and nutrients, but they're using toxic fertilizers that manipulate the growth of the plants, but where they have no value and actually have a bioaccumulated toxicity. The honeybees are dying. The wildlife that eats it. I mean, it's a bad situation, not just counting the GMO nature. So I'd gotten off most GMO. I was drinking more water, eating less, jogging 4 or 5 days a week, and I could lose about 5 pounds, and that was it. I couldn't detoxify. And about a year ago or so, Ted Anderson got me in touch with one of our affiliate folks who owns a few stations we're on and said, listen, Ted had started it, and he said, I'm losing weight. My knees were hurting, feel great. You ought to really try this. And so I knew it was good stuff. I knew it made sense. Started promoting it about a year ago. Didn't really follow it, though, because I've never been a vitamin mineral guy. And I'd taken vitamins before because I guess I didn't absorb them, didn't do much. Aaron Dykes here, one of our writers and fill-in hosts and researchers, he went on it and followed what Ben Fuchs talks about, pharmacist Ben, who's about to be here with us. And he lost 65 pounds. You've seen the transformative change in 6 months. And has incredible energy. It's just amazing. So I finally, about now, I don't know, 8 weeks ago, a little over 2 months ago, said, okay, I'm going to actually follow this. I'm actually do tangy tangerine twice a day. Instead of doing toxic coffee, I'm going to do a pollen burst. I'm going to take a whey shake. All the products are, again, are at InfoWarsTeam.com.